to all take on each one all at the same time. We have to do all of this, okay? And so this first one right here, the first spoon, this is encouraging each and every one of you to continue to do whatever it is you do. Okay? I understand that in, what is it, Ippolito, they're doing a lot of sand fracking, right? So if that's what you're working on, keep on working on it, you know? And people like myself, I'm here to support you, working on tools constantly to help develop your ability to make an effect change. We have great resources within our Occupy for conference calls, or we can set you up with email lists and things like that. If you're ever interested in that, or even a hub, website, whatever, we can look to help you out with that. And there's other things in the pipeline. Love the opportunity to come back here in maybe a year or so, or when they're done, and show you. But for now, this is simply do what you're doing and keep on keeping on. The thing is though, these things aren't game changers. Because say, for example, you take the strategy like CellDef and you pass local ordinances, and you say, we don't want, in Ippolito, we don't want sand fracking here. Well, corporations with their constitutional rights, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna overturn it at some level, because you don't have those rights. But I'm not saying not to do it, because it's an organizing strategy, and it gets lots of people outraged because they wake up and realize what we're talking about, something that you already know, but the regular folk, average person just working hard, trying to make a living, maybe in this area, taking care of a farm, busting, you know, their butts each day, but they don't understand how it all kind of connects, and they're supporting people who are otherwise hurting them and their families. So keep on keeping on. This next spoon right here, this is our defense. Oh, football fans in here? Packer fans?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Well, this is our defense right here. And what our defense is to stop toxic trade agreements like the TPP.
Yep. Yeah.
We cannot allow things like that to pass. Those are game changers, meaning they change the rules of the game because they change the rules in the legal system. And that's where the game is won and lost, in the legal system. Some interesting points I'd like to just mention, and I will give all the credit to Ralph Nieder, because it was actually on a call with him just 3 weeks ago, where we had over a couple hundred people on that call, that I learned some of these details about the TPP and what have you in the WTO. But that, so it's for many decades, trade agreements between countries were exclusively about trade. And these trade agreements were not enforceable until NAFTA and the WTO. So, for example now though, there's a court in Geneva that if you have a grievance, country has a grievance, say the United States says, hey, we don't want child labor products, you know, in our country. And we want to go to the WTO to fight that. Well, that's an interesting thing, because what goes to the WTO are not things that are these, like child labor. It's actually what cases they hear about are the cases of treating workers too good, for example. That's a violation of the WTO. Okay? And NAFTA and these trade agreements have the status of federal law. They usurp the Constitution. They're game changers. Okay? It's important to lift up that these trade agreements are not about free trade. They are about supporting constitutional rights, worker rights, environmental rights, your health and safety, and subverting the economy. Calling these trade agreements is a mischaracterization, and in the words of Ralph Nader, it's better to be called a global corporate coup, and do not use free trade. What he says, it's accurate, I believe, corporate fascism. Now, the good thing about organizing around these issues, playing defense, is it's a left and right issue. Democrats organized behind it around worker rights, environmental rights, and consumer rights, while the Republicans talk about how it sabotages national sovereignty. It's a wholesale export for jobs and constitutional authority. So there's a sweet spot of solidarity there, where when you're playing defense on things like the TPP and these other toxic trade agreements, you can kind of cross party lines right there and work together, and maybe build those relationships to make people realize, us common people, it's really us against concentrations of private wealth. That's the us against them. So, for example, I'll just give us another example here. So say Brazil files a suit with the United States about a California food labeling law, and say it's violating the WTO. And an attorney general from Brazil and the United States goes to Geneva. These are secret, closed courts. No press is allowed, no spectators are allowed in these courts in Geneva. The judges, now get this, the judges at these courts are corporate lawyers on special assignment. Now this already exists. This isn't the TPP, but this is what, the TPP is trying to set up this global governance run by corporations. And right now it looks like we're gonna stop fast track, but we need to definitely help from everybody. If you'd like to be on the calls, they're every Wednesday night from 9 to 11 Eastern time. They're going to be going on through April 29th, because this is the window that we believe they're going to try to push through fast track. And fast track, if it goes through, it will last 7 years. So not only will the TPP go through, but there's a transatlantic partnership, there's this international trade agreement that's called the TTIP. So it's going to open the door for all these things that go in without your representatives having any say about it whatsoever. And that's not why you elected them. All right, so and just a quick piece of information, that the Chamber of Commerce just allocated $160 million to launch campaigns in favor of fast track for lobbying and for ads and so forth. So just to know what we are up against. And if anyone ever read the Lewis Powell memo, which if you haven't, please do. It's 34 pages in an old typewriter. If you brought it down to a Word document, it'd probably be 11 pages. You could finish it in less than 2 hours, reading it very thoroughly. It is something to lift up. Lewis Powell later on became Supreme Court Justice the same year he wrote this memo. Please, if you have an opportunity, read the Powell memo. It's online. It's now called the Manifesto of American Capitalism. It was a game plan, and they definitely were successful in using that game plan. He was on the court in the 1976 Buckley versus Vallejo decision when money became speech. Okay, so that's the TPP. And so that's our defense. So at times like these, when fast track's happening, which by the way, we already stopped fast track back in 2013. So when these things are coming up, we have to play defense and mobilize as a movement strategy. So the first thing, keep doing what you're doing. And by all means, I look to help to support you, and others, we're here to try to help those who are doing good to keep on doing good and playing defense. But what's this last one right here? The irony of holding something that I do believe is ivory from my childhood, of what brought me into all this work. But if you notice, this has 2 prongs on it, and that was strategic. To pick this, I didn't actually. Julie found it in Bob's cupboard. Anyway, so this is 2-pronged because this represents our game changer. This is our offense. And our offense in this struggle, if you want to help Mike McCabe to get his list of 12 done, particularly number 4, to end corporate rule, if you want to see that happen, then you need this offensive strategy, which is everyone. Because right now, the people force working on all their things, it's divided, it's separate. We need everyone coming together around this issue as our first critical strategic step forward. And what is that? It's passage of the We the People Amendment to say corporations are not people and money is not speech. There's many amendments out there, But the We the People Amendment is a two-pronged approach, and it does it all at the same time. During Seneca Falls, when they were having the debate, should we focus on ending slavery, or should we focus on women's rights? We shouldn't have to concede one or the other. Let's demand what we want. Let's get it all at the same time. Understanding this issue, and the more you look into it, one with the other, or if you have one and don't have the other, it just doesn't work. You need to have both. And this isn't a magic bullet. It's not as if we're going to pass this and everything's going to be okay. This is the beginning of the greater social transformation toward a people-centered, sustainable society. This is that first critical step that we all need to take. And then once we do that, then with all the energy and vigor that we saw the United States and Americans take during World War II to transform our economy, to fight the Nazis, and to fight the Axis, we have to come together with that same vigor and fight this different challenge, the challenge that nature's presenting, that we've kind of stoked the beast, and now the earth is causing this to accelerate. In 2009, there was a congressional report that stated that if the United States shifted to investment in sustainable energy, it would create 17.4 million real jobs. These jobs would pay a living wage. These jobs would be jobs of the future, and they'd be in manufacturing sectors. We can transform our economy, and we can lead the way in doing this. And this is what we absolutely have to do with the energy and vigor that I know is in every one of us as Americans. However, and this is why what the actions of corporations are doing is so sinister. Because by controlling the media and manipulating the message and putting doubt in people's minds, what they've done is they've stifled our ability to come together, know about the facts, because I believe if the facts are put calmly in front of regular folks know what to do, and they'll do it. So, this is why it's so important to understand what's set in the clock. And it's the environment, it's this climate crisis, and it's real, and it's getting worse with each day. And it's important to know what we can do to confront this. Again, the very first step is passage of the We the People Amendment. Now, amendments take years. Amendments take years. And this May, we're looking at a month of action to try to help it go viral. Next year is a presidential election. It's also the 130th birthday of corporations. We're looking to have a summer of action next year from May Day, May 1st, through Constitution Day, September 16th. And there are plans in place with the hope of launching encampments again on September 17th, which is the 5-year anniversary of Occupy, for 7 weeks leading up to the presidential election to try to help this go viral. What can you do in the meantime? Educate and inform others vigilantly. Have viewings of legalized democracy. Talk to people, show them about the corporation. Teach them about how this issue didn't just start with Citizens United. We have to build a critical mass of people who understand that the only way forward is for us to have our game changer, and that's to pass the We the People Amendment. And then once we do that once again, that's going to clear a way for us to have a people-centered, sustainable society. Thank you so much for being here. God bless America, and God bless the future of our planet.
Thank you. Ippolito. Thank you, Michael, for bringing the message from